You are looking live at a daily chart of the Nasdaq, and on Friday, the Nasdaq gained 219 points or 1.22% and got most of the Tuesday, the Ruby Tuesday, the Ruby Red Tuesday, where it was down 280 points. And it was up to 18,162. Got most of that back. And it got up to 145 and closed at 18,137. So it closed near the high of the session. Like I said, it was up 219 points or 1.22%, closed at 18,137. I do want to point out that it's 3.9% above that 50 and 1.7% above the 21. You can see it wedged down to the 21 here, squatted for a couple days and then bounced on Friday. So you see that wedging action. You're going to see that in a lot of charts because that's what the index is doing. If you want to take a look at the weekly chart, it was flat on the week, up 18 points or 0.1% on a 2% above the average weekly volume. So a good week overall for the Nasdaq because it purged some sellers. It found support at the 21 and bounced. And that's what you want to see, the bounce. You don't want to see it squatting there at the 21. This is the S&P 500, a little stronger than the Nasdaq. Did not actually come down to its 21, but had the same type of wedging action here. Just a little stronger, like I said, below the 10, above the 21, and then popped on Friday. And now this one's 3.5% above its 50 and 1.4% above the 21. And this one's above the 10 as well. So S&P looks very strong. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, yeah, strong. This is a strong. And once again, you're seeing this wedging action. But instead of wedging down to the 21, this thing just pulled back to its 10 and then popped on Friday, 341 points or 0.81%. So weekly review, we're going to look at, the weekly chart, and you can see this one is just showing a lot of strength and near highs. And so you got to like indexes near highs and stocks near highs. And this is the Russell 2000, still kind of floundering around a little bit, fell 0.5% last week. All right, I'm going to move on because I like stocks. I don't want to spend a lot of time on indexes. This is Apple on the weekly. A lot of noise surrounding Apple due to their, a new iPhone rollout. And you can see 3 weeks tight here, little sell off, another 3 weeks tight. This week it closed 3 weeks tight. Maybe it'll lead to an add-on buy point. We'll see. Let's take a look at the daily. There you can see that, wedging type action that we saw with the Nasdaq here. Just a wedge. Didn't even make it down. It made it below the 21, but not to the 50. And then closed on Friday. It looks like above those moving averages here. Right at the 10, 0.5% above the 21, and nearly 2% above the 50. Anyway, just kind of like a loitering. Apple's loitering. Microsoft looks weak here. Is it formed this cup with handle? And now talk about a wedge. You want to see some support at some point. Support at the 21? Nope. Support at the 50? Nope. Support at the 200? We'll see. Uh, Boy, that does not look good, but it should find support at this black line here, the 200. We'll see. You can see it's traded below it before, like on August 5th, and a couple of weak moments, but let's see if it finds support next week. Meta is, I believe, the strongest of all these Mag 7 names. I'm just going through the Mag 7 because these are not leading stocks anymore. Um, we're finally getting a market that's going higher without, outstanding performance from this group. Meta is the strongest, like I mentioned, made a new high on Friday. That looks fantastic. Couple other names in the group. Tesla, I guess they're going to roll out robo taxis, and they've been in the news a lot lately with their deliveries. And once again, the pullback to the 21. I'm going to go through this in a minute. Pull back to the 21, find support, bounce nearly 4% on Friday. We're seeing a lot of that bull wedge action there. Let me see. How about Google and Amazon? Let's check these out. Yeah, Google's above its moving averages now, starting to surf that 10. That looks pretty good. Amazon uh, pulled back below the 21, rallied above it Friday, 2.5% move. And the last one is NVIDIA, which is just digesting these massive gains. I know people are getting impatient with this one, but man, this thing ran from what is 39 up to 140. I mean, come on. Now it's just kind of consolidating in this little box area and just let it do its thing. The market probably not going higher without this one, but yeah, it's got to break out of that box. 131 would be an area of interest. I like it above its moving averages, above 120 here. I I believe I had it on my ready list last week. Yeah, let me check. Yeah, I did. So above 120, I like it. Below, I don't. So kind of coincides with the moving averages, but NVIDIA looks fine. All right, we looked at the indexes. We looked at the Mag 7. I've got to go to, the obvious, and that's these China names, which since the stimulus was announced 2 weeks ago, this is a weekly review, so I got to look at the weekly. This just looks like the start of a bigger move. Not going to go up every day or every week or even every month, but I think, this is the FXI, which is kind of a cross between the Dow 30 and the QQQs. This is a 50, China 50 index, and on the weekly, it's just powered higher 2 weeks ago, and then last week tacked on 11% gain. I think we'll all take 11% gain from an ETF. Yeah, so it was up 18.5%, tacked on another 11. KWEB is another China ETF. If you don't like individual stocks, this one's 0.7% off of its high. And once again, this one, made a move off the lows, trying to break out of this stage one base, and I think it did successfully last week. 13% move, so we'll take that, every week. But the prior week, 2 weeks ago, it was up 27% and added on, 13% gain. So that just looks like a breakout from a stage one base. Yeah, is it going to get back up here? I mean, I don't know. It certainly could, but it definitely looks like the start of, a bigger move as it breaks out of this stage one base. I know. And I just got to take it day by day, week by week. But yeah, like I said, if you don't want to own these individual names, there's a couple of ETFs. Some of the ones that I have been watching and monitoring, one is FUTU. This is the financial, and the type of a stimulus that was provided seems to favor those financial names. It was 2 weeks ago, it was up 30%, tacked on another, 50% last week. We'll take the 50% gain. Very nice move here out of that stage one base. Another one in the financial area is TIGR. And you can see just last week, this one's a little bit behind FUTU because just last week it broke above that, stage one base there. So this one looks good. Looks like the start of a bigger move as well. 2 weeks ago, broke off that low straight up from the bottom. So you think, oh, it's going to pull back a little bit. Going to be some profit taking after a 24% move. No, it went up 170%. So that worked out well for the longs who took a shot at the Tiger. JD is another one of these China plays, just broke out. Once again, these look, pretty similar here. Broke out of that base 2 weeks ago and tacked on, 18% gains last week. So, it's hard to ignore. These are moves not to ignore. 40% and then 18%. We'll take that all day long. BEKE, this is the only one that I had at MC stock charts because it was closer to its buy point there. But 2 weeks ago, straight up off the bottom, a nice 39% move, then tacked on 29% last week. So if you took that trade, congratulations. I know some people at MC stock charts took that in one China play. And I think most people are comfortable with the ETFs, but the stocks are certainly paying off nicely. Of course, the big one is BABA. And this one's just, breaking out of a stage one base 2 weeks ago, up 22%, tacked on, nearly 7% last week. And the last one I'm going to do of the China names is ATAT, A Tour Lifestyle. And this one you could see on the weekly broke out prior to the stimulus, which is interesting. Yeah, this one broke out the 20th, the 20th, 8%, then tacked on 20% 2 weeks ago. And then last week, just a measly 10% gain. So That's another strong stock. Let's take a look at the daily on this one. Yeah, this is like see you later. But you can see this line here, and that's this right here. So it just broke out from here and has a long way to go. So anyway, ATAT. That's it for the China names. I'm going to move on because I have a lot of stuff to get to. And I'm going to start with the oil and gas plays. Some of these ones, I have to start with Exxon because it's the big kahuna. This is a big part of the XLE. Exxon and Chevron. You can see it just broke out of this cup with handle pattern last week. This is a big move, 8% for this stock that's got a 554 billion market cap. Let's take a look at the daily here. Yeah, just straight up from the bottom. So right there around that 124, 125 area, you'd expect some profit taking, but we're just going to have to wait and see. This thing could keep driving higher. Anyway, I like the stock there at that 124 area, and this is definitely one that could still appear on the ready list, even though it's a little extended from that 10 EMA, 4.6%, which is a lot for a company like that. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the LNG, oil and gas transportation. You can see that on the daily chart, just flat, 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 3 weeks tight, just a flat trading sideways, and all of a sudden pop, right? Last week, straight up from the bottom. So Cheniere looks good at 187. What was the other one? GLNG. This is Golar LNG, liquid natural gas. On the daily, you can see it broke out, traded higher. On the weekly, there you can see that consolidation of a stage two base. There's your stage one, stage two. Nice 3.5% move last week for that one. KMI, which is a Kinder Morgan, another transportation pipeline stock. You can see this one broke out and traded higher as well. Nice move there. There's the breakout from the 2186 on the daily chart. On the weekly, you could see it was up, 8.5% last week. The last one of this oil and gas group that I'm going to show, because I have some other stocks that I need to get to, but this is Land Bridge. This one, I've been showing this one on my daily videos here. The IPO base, it looks like the IPO price was just way too low, and it immediately ran up, consolidated into a base and made that high at 43, then formed this little base here as it pulled back to its 50, ran up, pulled back to the 21. Where have we seen that before? This one looked like it wanted to go higher, then made a sharp U-turn, reversed down to the 21, then popped higher. And it was up, 4.37% on Friday and 14.7% last week. So that's why, you got to, I don't know, keep in touch with these IPOs, and the oil and gas group looks strong to me. There's a lot of them. Speaking of which, I'm going to go to some of my trades last week at MC Stock Charts, and one of them was an oil and gas play. This one was straight up from the bottom and then pulled back. Didn't quite make it to its 21, just below the 10, and then popped higher. Nice day on Friday, it was 6%. So if you took that one, I actually did for a trade. Right there at that 29 level, and now it closed at 32. But a nice 11% move last week for a stock that I don't hear anybody talking about it. Not many are on to the Kodiak. That's Kodiak gas anyway. Looks a little extended here after that move last week. All right, another move that we've had recently at MC Stock Charts. Didn't have it last week, but we traded this one, and still a lot of people at mcstockcharts.com have this stock at the 82 level, and now it's up, 138. I think it hit 139, almost 140 on Friday. So you're looking at what, 75% gain, something like that on this stock. Big move. Yeah, it hit 139.38. So, I know people just they want to hold winners, right? I expected from the 107 area, about a 20% move, and we've gotten a little bit more than that before it forms a base here. Will it pull back, allow the moving averages to catch up? Possibly, but this is the top performing stock in the S&P 500 this year. I know a lot of people think it's NVIDIA, but it's Vistra. And this thing is just powering higher. You could see the group, top six group. You could see on the weekly here, just powering through that pivot area. So 17% it moved last week, very strong. So if you got that one, congratulations. If not, you're gonna have to be patient, wait for a pullback. VRT, this is Vertiv. Once again, on the weekly, you can see this downtrend line that it broke above. I'm going to show you on the daily in a minute. It's just been powering higher the last 4 weeks with volume. And now there's another buy point there, a standard buy point at, what is it, 109 something? No, 103. Okay, so it's right around there, and it poked above it on Friday. But you can see this cup with handle, pretty tight trading here, nice symmetrical chart, and you could see this little wedge that pull back to the 10 here. A little bit of a shakeout before moving higher. Not enough of a shakeout for me. We want to see him pull back to the 21, but I'm going to get to that in a minute. Another trade that we had at mcstockcharts.com was a Constellation. A couple things here. One, broke above the downtrend line on that news with Microsoft, right? Where it popped on that Friday, I believe. I forget the date. Was it the 20th? Yeah, the 20th. And then it formed this like little shelf type pattern and then blasted higher last week. So, I had it on the shelf pattern as well. Man, 285. It was up 11% last week. So that was a good trade. GEV, GE Vernova, another one that formed that little shelf type pattern, pull back to the 10. You could see this like bull wedge, and it's just kind of waiting for the market to drive higher. And this one was downgraded on Friday and still went up 4%. So that tells you something. When it gets negative news like that, I think it was HSBC downgraded it and raised the price target. But anyway, that's a CYA downgrade, but that one grinded higher. And the last one I want to show is Arista Networks, another good trade for us. You can see the consolidation pattern and then moving higher. Once again, these little wedge patterns, we're going to show you a bunch of them here in a minute. This one just pulled back to its 10 and then found support and bounced. So let's take a look at the weekly. It's a weekly chart. Yeah, just grinding higher out of that base. So that one looks good, up more than 4% last week. And that's a good move by any standards, a 4% move. All right, I'm going to get to something different today. I want to go to when you're in an uptrend, when you're in a bull market, you expect your stocks to pull back, find support and bounce. And we like to buy the bounces. If you're watching for these things, um, you can see them all over the place. And it's kind of like what the index did. So you don't want to, at least I don't want to buy when it's going down because how do you know it's going to stop at the 21? You don't. You buy when it starts to bounce. When it started to bounce on Wednesday of last week, it was at 167 to 172 is your daily range. Closed at 63% of the daily range. The next day, it's up, percent. It was a little bit of stalling ahead of that jobs number. And then on the jobs number, it rallied, nearly 3%. So pull back to the 21 and bounce is a common theme. That's what we're seeing a lot of. I'm going to go just through some charts here. I'm not recommending these as stocks to buy. I'm just pointing out just the little wedge pattern, the pull back to the 21. Nice 4% bounce for on holdings on Friday. There you can see it. It's already traded out of the base pullback. That's why I say sometimes you can wait for the pullback to the moving average, and it's if you didn't get it the first time, you can get a second bite of the apple here. Kava is another one that I was on, and I was teasing people that if it doesn't bounce off the 21, I'm going to start calling it Kaka, not Kava. But anyway, got some weird responses off that. Like people saying, "Oh, it's up four times this year." I know. It's a leading retail restaurant stock with sweet greens, and this one just pulled back to the 21. Remember, the market was stalling ahead of that jobs number and then popped last week. But anyway, Kava up more than 2%. And TTD is another one. I got to go to the daily chart here. once again, this commercial services advertising, and these are just the stocks from a variety of different groups. So there's no, it's just random groups pulling back to the 21 and then popping higher. So if I go to the track price on Wednesday, when the index was stalling, it was up 2%. Thursday and then Friday, nice 1% move. So nice trade on TTD. DoorDash, I really like the weekly chart on DoorDash. Look at this thing, cup with handle. Now it's just powering higher out of this base here. So that looks pretty good to me. Uh, Last week, not last week, excuse me, within the handle there, the cup with handle, this one pulled back to the 21 like this, nice handle, and then just blasted hard. But now it pulled back to the 10. So it's getting a little stronger. It's not waiting for the 21. It's popped off the 10 there. So DoorDash looks fantastic. APOG, this is building construction stock. Yeah, this one pulled back here to the 21 on what, I said the market was kind of stalling here last week. And then it pulled back to the 21 on Thursday and just popped a nice 22% move for APOG CHX, which is an oil and gas driller. Excuse me. CNX. This is a exploration, oil and gas exploration stock. And you can see it's got this consistent pattern just pulling back, ripping up, pulling back, ripping up. So this one pulled back to the 21, ripped higher. 4 sessions, it pulled back to the 10. And if you're quick enough, you could buy that 10. It didn't bother coming back to the 21, this magenta line here. Just pulled back to the 10, the green line, and popped higher. So CNX, I've been highlighting this stock for a couple weeks now. I really like it. Who moves kind of quick. It was up more than 8% last week. So that's another one that I like. Smaller cap oil and gas name. WMB. This is one of those oil and gas integrated names with Exxon and Chevron. This one pulled back to the 21, and this one's been pulling back consistently. This was the August 5th pullback where it went below the 50, but you can see these pullbacks here, support and buy, pullback, support, pullback, support. Now it's just ramping. So if you want to own that one, you're going to have to wait. Be patient. Don't chase. Yeah, we don't chase. VIK, this is a leisure services, the cruise line. And you can see the pullback here in this one in the pop higher. I'm not sure if they reported earnings or not, but that's a hell of a move. Pull back to the 21 last week in the last 3 sessions. That really popped nicely. Nice 6% move for Viking. And this thing is still, it's a little extended on the daily, but actionable definitely on the weekly there. It's up to 37.25. It's just that it's a little extended from the its MAs right there. Yeah. So, gosh, there's a lot of them I need to get to. I'm going to go a little quicker. TCOM, you know what? I'm not going to explain it. I'm just going to show you. Pull back, pop, right? That's trip.com. VFC. This is apparel clothing, and you can see it consistently pulls back and pops. All right. So just going through these names quickly for the sake of time, I just written these down. This one consistently pull back and pop, pull back and pop. So I've got CLBT software name, CWAN, not one that, it's talked about a lot, financial services, but you can see the clear pattern here. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. It pulls back and it trades higher, it pulls back and it trades higher, it pulls back to the 21 and now pop. So that's just a clear pattern there. HROW. This is a biotech stock, and I know a lot of people don't like to trade biotechs because they don't like to go live in the outhouse. But this is outhouse or penthouse. This one pulls back to the 21, pops, pulls back to the 21, pops higher. So the 21 in an uptrending market has been magic for us. If you trade any of these names, this is Shake Shack, pull back to the 50, pop, pull back to the 50 again. So just watch for these moving averages, find out where these stocks are finding support. in the uptrend. We have some earnings this week. Pepsi's going to report. Um, Delta's going to report. Domino's Pizza. And then we have a couple of banks, Wells Fargo, and then JP Morgan. It's going to report on Friday with Wells Fargo. So we'll see what they have to say. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. At mcstockcharts.com, we never give up. However, in the honor of the great Steve Jobs, I have one more thing I want to show. And I go to the every day I look at stocks up on volume. And this is why I go back to September 23rd and this thing's popping on volume, right? I noticed it a couple days in a row. I thought, what's going on here? An 18% move is not to be ignored. I say it often. It's really obnoxious. People get tired of it, but too bad. And anyway, this is why on the 24th it pops again, right? So you're going like, wow, this thing's, going from 5 and now trades up to 9. I mean, that's a hell of a move, right? It's almost a two bagger in a couple of days there. That's the 24th, move 52%. And so you get another move higher on the 25th. 13%. Like I say, these are moves not to be ignored with volume. You can see the big volume coming in here. So what happens on the 26th? A little bit of a pullback. 27th fills that gap there. So that's pretty interesting. The 30th pops higher again. So you had 2 days, right, where it just pulled back a little bit. And then it's a 52% move. Hello. And the first, which was Tuesday, a little bit of a pullback. Wednesday is when I think I've been highlighting the stock every day, but it had a 10% move. It was just an inside day. So, and then what happened the next couple sessions on the third and on the fourth, this thing makes a new high. So this is why I look at if you have market surge, stocks up on volume, 285 stocks. You can go through them kind of quickly though, and just kind of sort them. I kind of just look for the volume and the market cap on these names and the price. So, if it's got big percentage moves, that's what I go to first, right? You want the bigger percentage move, not the smaller one. And you can see the move on Friday, TIGR up 34 CAPR. These are big moves, APOG. And so that's what I look for. I know it seems like a lot of stocks to screen 285, but you can go through them pretty quickly and it's just part of the process. Anyway, that's it for me at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up. Thank you for watching. Have a good weekend.